What's up, Taiwan? I'm Rik Glauert with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan's legislature was set to discuss a new bill that would have initiated multiple referendum votes in the country, but those plans have now been delayed. Leslie Liao has more.
Martial law and the death penalty. That's what's on legislators' minds as of late. The opposition Kuomintang has put forth two bills in Taiwan's legislature to initiate countrywide referendums on those two topics. And it was scheduled for final discussions and a vote on Friday, but that plan has been pushed back. The contentious referendums were expected to stall legislative proceedings as the ruling Democratic Progressive Party fights the bills tooth and nail. On Friday, the DPP's legislators signed up to speak in the chamber en masse, indicating they would try to hamper the referendum's passage. After private cross-party discussions in the chamber, the KMT agreed not to bring up the referendum bills in the legislature, instead choosing to prioritize another bill amending laws concerning Taiwan's holidays. What is it about the referendums that are so divisive? The first referendum will ask, do you agree that the government should avoid war and not let Taiwan become like Ukraine, which is under martial law and where young people die while their country is destroyed? The KMT says this question is a response to President Lai Ching-te designating China as a foreign hostile force. China claims Taiwan as part of its territory and has not ruled out unification by force. The KMT says that the ruling Democratic Progressive Party's rhetoric puts Taiwan in danger and on the brink of war.
可以因为一人的决定就可以进行宣布对岸为敌对势力，让两岸进入了一个兵凶战危、准战争的关系。
The DPP and the KMT have long disagreed on how to deal with China. While Beijing sees the DPP as, quote, separatists and has historically refused to engage with any of the party's administrations, the KMT has had friendlier relations with China. The second referendum bill will ask, do you agree that a unanimous decision should not be required to hand down a death sentence in criminal trials? The death sentence is also something the ruling and main opposition party have disagreed on. While some in the DPP have advocated for outright abolishing the death penalty in Taiwan, the KMT wants to keep it in place. The current government has not indicated it has any plans to get rid of the death penalty. The KMT holds a majority in the legislature with the help of the smaller Taiwan People's Party. That means both referendums are expected to pass when they eventually come for a vote.
昨天的朝野协商，大家都看得非常清楚。韩国瑜的协商就只是过水，案子都是蓝白定的。
Taiwan's Central Election Commission has said that if the bills pass, the vote will be scheduled for August. Alex Sun and Leslie Liao for TaiwanPlus.
Catholics worldwide are celebrating the election of Cardinal Robert Prevost as Pope Leo XIV. He is the first American to fill the role with strong ties to Latin America. Rosie Greninger reports.
Elation among crowds outside the Vatican as white smoke rises from the Sistine Chapel and the bells of St. Peter ring out, signalling a new pope has been elected.
Dad, the white smoke. I'm going to see the Pope. I'm here at the Vatican and I'm going to see the Pope.
I'm speechless and with no more voice. I'm happy. It's the beginning of a new life. It's a new time coming that does not tire of man.
Minutes later, US Cardinal Robert Prevost was revealed as the 267th leader of the Roman Catholic Church. It comes after 2 days of deliberation between 133 cardinals in conclave in Vatican City and one failed vote. Taking the name Pope Leo XIV, he was greeted by cheers as he made his first appearance on the central balcony of St. Peter's Basilica. The new pontiff thanking his predecessor, Pope Francis, and repeating his calls for peace.
Dobbiamo cercare insieme come essere una chiesa missionaria, una chiesa che costruisce i ponti, il dialogo, sempre aperta a ricevere, come questa piazza con le braccia aperte, a tutti coloro che hanno bisogno della nostra carità, la nostra presenza, il dialogo, l'amore.
Born in Chicago, 69-year-old Prevost becomes the first American to fill the role of Pope. Although he's considered as much a cardinal from Latin America, with Peruvian nationality, and because of the many years he spent as a missionary in Peru. The former leader of the Augustinian order was appointed a cardinal by Pope Francis in 2023. His time in the Catholic Church hasn't been without controversy, accused of concealing sexual abuse. But in Chiclayo, where he served as a bishop, and across the US, faithful are celebrating his papacy.
I am very excited and blessed by the election of the new Pope, especially because he is from Chiclayo. My son and I came because he is happy and joyful. We know what kind of person Prevost is. We know that he will continue much of Pope Francis's legacy.
I feel a connection also because he's a Cubs fan.
Oh, yes, boss.
Yes, they said that on the news this morning, and I was like cheering.
Despite a history of criticising US policies under President Donald Trump and Vice President JD Vance on social media, Trump has called Prevost's election a great honour. Leaders across the globe are also sending their congratulations and well wishes. Taiwan President Lai Ching-te saying Taiwan hopes to continue working with the Vatican to pursue peace, justice and religious freedom. Comments echoed by Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese.
This is a moment which will bring joy and hope to Catholics everywhere. May the papacy of Pope Leo advance the cause of peace and social justice for all humanity.
Viewed as a centrist, much remains to be seen about Pope Leo and the direction he will take the Catholic Church. He shares beliefs with the late Pope Francis on helping migrants and acting against climate change, but his stance on equality for women in the Church and LGBTQ+ rights have been questioned. After emphasising the need for peace in his first address, analysts believe he will follow in the footsteps of Francis, focusing on making change in social justice issues.
I think that we're going to see this new Pope continue Pope Francis's initiatives towards economic justice and against sort of the privations of globalization.
As Pope Leo steps into his new position, he will serve 1.4 billion Catholics worldwide. And as news of his appointment spreads to faithful across the globe, the future of the Catholic Church is in his hands. Ryan Wu and Rosie Gredinger for TaiwanPlus.
The United States and the UK have announced a new trade agreement.
A historic step, the deal includes plans that will bring the United Kingdom into the economic security alignment with the United States. That's the first of its kind. And by the way, we have many meetings planned today and tomorrow, and every country wants to be making deals. And it's very conclusive.
US President Donald Trump agreed to reduce import taxes on some British cars and metals. The UK will boost its imports of US products like beef and ethanol. It's the first trade deal since Trump announced sweeping global tariffs last month, upending global trade and stoking fears of a recession in the US. Taiwan's tech sales are booming as US consumers get their orders in ahead of Trump's looming tariffs. Reese Ayers reports.
Taiwan's trade is surging in the second quarter of 2025 as orders stack up for semiconductors and other tech products. It comes as the global supply chain anticipates the next round of US tariffs, first announced in April, then delayed by 90 days. With Taiwanese products facing a possible 32% levy in early July, assuming no deal is made before then, US buyers are getting their orders in before the hike.
我们的客人目前的反应大概都是把之前原来在 Q3 要出的货，尽量希望能在 Q2 把它出了。那 Q3 现在的需求，说实话，以美国客人来讲，稍微比较观望。那我们也持续跟客人做充分的沟通。
The trade surge is creating some big numbers for Taiwan, the producer of most of the world's most powerful chips. Both exports and imports hit their second highest figures ever in April, with almost $50 billion in exports, around 80% of that the sale of semiconductors or other tech products.
But it's not all good news. Freight and cargo companies, including major player EVA Air,
are feeling the fallout of the US-China trade war. That's as shippers slam on the brakes to avoid the over 100% tariffs Beijing and Washington have thrown at each other.
确实我们看到从大陆出来的电商货是有减少，那幅度也不能说不大。美国还是有豁免的一些产品，当然我们也还持续在关注整个大陆出口的一个状况。那必要的时候，我们就会把货机做一些调整。
But with US and Chinese officials set to meet for trade talks in the coming days, and the beginnings of a US-UK trade deal emerging earlier this week, there could be hope yet on the horizon for a return to normalcy for global trade. Joseph Wu and Rik Glauert for TaiwanPlus.
The leaders of China and Russia have pledged to work together to counter US influence. Chinese President Xi Jinping told Russian leader Vladimir Putin their countries should be friends of steel. Xi was in Moscow for Russia's Victory Day, marking the end of World War II in Europe. He and Putin signed a statement to deepen cooperation and stand against what they call US bullying. Putin has been under fire over Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and Xi is in the middle of a tariff war with the US. And Donald Trump says he could ask China for help ending the Russia-Ukraine war. He told reporters it was only natural to ask Beijing to help negotiate. Trump made securing peace in Ukraine a major election promise, but has so far made little headway brokering talks. But Trump says Ukraine is moving toward peace.
I don't know. I think we're making good progress. The fighting is a little bit different than it was. I think if we weren't involved, Russia would be, going at it to maybe get the whole thing. Without our involvement, they'd be able to get it, because we supplied a lot of different things, foolishly.
Russia said it would have a 3-day ceasefire starting Thursday, but Ukraine says Russia has already broken that commitment. It's been 6 months since Super Typhoon Yagi hit Vietnam, and the impact is still being felt by many people there, struggling to move on from the disaster. Miriam Brunner has this story.
Half a year since her life was turned upside down, Nguyen Thi Kim is back in the place she once called home. This is all that remains of her village in the mountains of northern Vietnam, destroyed by floods from the most powerful typhoon to hit the country in decades. Her family had farmed this area for half a century, and she never thought she would have to leave.
My life was so peaceful. Time just passed by every day. I used to wish it would be like that forever. No one expected the disaster to be too big for us all. I can't forget.
Super Typhoon Yagi swept across Vietnam in September last year, killing at least 250 people and devastating the country's infrastructure. Nguyen Thi Kim's village was among the most affected. When the storm had passed, the area was deemed unsafe. Residents were advised to rebuild elsewhere and offered an alternative site. Though Kim and her neighbors have re-established their community, there's still a lot that worries them.
It's really safe now, but I am still very panicky whenever the wind and the rain come. I am very, very panicky.
A fear that experts say is not unfounded.
Predicting absolute safety in geology is actually very difficult. Because the Earth is changing slowly, natural geological phenomena are also changing.
The villagers want their lives to return to normal, but climate change continues to pose a challenge. With more frequent rains across the region and the remaining threat of floods.
We want to follow our traditions, but if it's not safe to do so any longer, we need to change.
Displaced and still distraught, Nguyen Thi Kim and her neighbors are just several of millions of people here having to live with the impact of global warming, wanting to rebuild, but anxious that without a permanent solution, what lies ahead could again be gone in a flash. John Su and Miriam Brunner for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, let's take a look at people celebrating the April Spring Festival in Spain. I'm Rik Glauert, you take care, and we will see you next time.